before I get started, which we're going to talk about what meta tags your site should be using, I'm feeling really festive, I think you can tell. Is anyone else feeling like in the Christmas spirit? Okay, all right. I've got 3 shirts here. I've got 3 questions. Whoever can answer the questions is going to get a free shirt. So before I get into it, is everyone ready for this? I'm going to show you the shirts too. They're all larges. I work at a company called Clever. Our designer, Seth, built these amazing shirts, as well as this graphic. He's the most talented designer I've ever worked with in Oklahoma. This could be yours today. So, first question. You got to raise your hand. It's school style. Who can name me Santa's 9 reindeer? Hands? There. And you can help him. It's okay to help, but you still get the shirt. There we go. Ding, ding, ding. Winner. Winner. Okay. Number 2, there's this snowman that comes alive, and his name is Frosty. How does he actually come alive? Yes. A silk hat. Ben, you got the material, too. I got that in your food. Okay, last question. According to Buddy the Elf, there are 4 food groups that all elves abide by. Can someone name me 2 of them? Okay, I saw your hand come up and then go down. Is that okay? All right, we'll go here. Candy corn. Here we go. That's 2 of them. Can anyone else name the other 2? Syrup, candy canes. I think we got them all. All right, good job. Good job. Okay. All right, let's get into this. What meta tags your site should be using? I gotta hold this. This is not gonna have any JavaScript at all. It's all front end. Okay, so about me. I work at a company called Clever. We're a development shop just up on 10th and Classen, not too far from here. In addition to making cool shirts like that, we're working on a series right now for Oklahoma City too. We build data-driven applications. I've worked there since May. It's awesome. I like beer as well, hence the shirt. Anthem is a brewery here. I have a dev blog, which you'll see more of here at the end. And I'm just, in general, a pretty cool guy. And this is our logo, by the way, okay. I hope everyone can see this. I know that light blue and white is not the best for accessibility, but I thought it looked pretty. So we're going to talk about 3 types of meta tags. This is not an extensive list by any means, but these are the ones that I think you'll want to have, and ones that you'll actually notice. Like we'll get into all of it. These are ones you're going to have. We got general category, Open Graph, and Twitter. Has anyone heard of Open Graph before? Okay, cool. I think for those of you that have not heard of it, it's going to really open up a lot of ideas of how things actually work, like when you share on Facebook, for example. So getting into the first one, the first group, general, we've got, and again, not an extensive list, just the ones I really want to share. We've got a title tag, viewport, character set, and description. So getting right into it, the first tag is actually not a meta tag at all. It's the only non-meta tag we're going to talk about because it's important and your HTML will not validate without it. You need a title tag. This is, as you can see up here, what meta tags your site, blah, blah, blah. That's actually the title tag right there. Whenever you save a bookmark, use the title tag. Whenever you share something on a social media website, a lot of the times it's the title tag that will showcase the title. You need this. And this goes in the head. All of these tags will go in the head. And I should also say, if we go back to the beginning slide, all of these are actual, you probably can't see them, but all these meta tags in here are actually valid. Okay. The next important meta tag, and this is how we're getting into actual meta tags here, and this is kind of the format for meta tags. We've got name, attribute, and content attribute. That's going to be the most common meta tag style you'll see. Name is the name of the meta tag. Content is a string value of whatever that meta tag is going to be. Viewport is really important because without this tag right here, a lot of us are familiar with responsive design. Whenever you look at a website on your phone, it looks a little bit different than it does on a website. By default, websites will not do that. It will try to shrink the whole website down to showcase everything on this page, and that's when you have to zoom in with your thumbs and everything. That's the default action of most browsers, is to just load the whole web page, from left to right. That's not what you want to do with responsive web design. You want to, showcase the right, the zoom level of 1, and you can just scroll down. You don't want to do side-to-side swiping. You need this tag to get that done, and what you're doing is you're setting the width to the device width, which is, your viewport width. It's whatever device you're looking at, and and you just set the initial scale to 1. What that does, it sets the zoom level to 1, so you're not zoomed in, you're not zoomed out. It's how the web developer intended you to actually read content on the page. Ideally, you don't have to zoom on anything if you're doing proper responsive web design, unless you're looking into a picture a little bit more. That's okay. So you need this tag to do that. Character set is kind of becoming a little bit less important, but you still want to include it because the default character set that most browsers will abide by, this is character encoding, is UTF-8. That's predominantly all Unicode characters. In HTML5, this is how you do it. It's meta char set. And then in HTML4, this is why you still want to include this particular meta tag. It's a little bit different format. It does the same thing, but with non-HTML5 web pages, the default character set is, I forget what it's called. It's like ISO 88 something or other, but it's not UTF-8. And normally that really shouldn't be a problem, but if you're using special characters that ISO 88, whatever it is, doesn't have, then you're going to run into some strange things. It just won't render right. So you want to include a character set tag. And again, it depends on whatever doc type you have. You're going to use either one of these tags. And then the last one of the general category is your meta description. Whenever you share a link, on Slack or something, you'll notice a lot of the times websites will pull in, like a sentence or two about what it is without you actually having to click on it. That's typically going to be the meta description tag. This is what Google search engines will typically use. Google doesn't have to use anything; it can use whatever it wants to. But if you specify a meta description like this, and name description, content, whatever it actually is, you're kind of telling the website, you're saying this is a short little blurb about the description of my page. You should keep this to 255 characters. That's characters, not words. That's not very long. That's 1 to 2 sentences. And the reason for that is because it's just supposed to be a short little description. Google, Facebook, all those sources will, if you go beyond 255 characters, it'll limit it to a shorter amount. So try to keep it concise to what you're trying to showcase. And there's more general tags than that, but those are the ones that I really recommend every website should have. Next, Open Graph. This is the icon for the Open Graph protocol. The Open Graph protocol is something created by Facebook, and it's a series of meta tags. It was created by Facebook, but a lot of different services use it, hence the name. Open Graph. And what it is, I'm going to zoom forward a couple slides, and we'll come back. If you share things on Facebook, this is, for example, a blog post here, you probably have noticed that you see something like this. You'll paste a link, and automatically all this text will come in. This is what's called an object in Facebook's Graph API, and the idea, where Open Graph gets its name is this is an object, and you're kind of creating this graph of relationships between, like, okay, this user sharing this link right here, these people are clicking on it, things like that. It's turning a link, which is just text, into an actual, trackable object. But anyway, this image right here, those are coming from Open Graph meta tags. This title, this text right here, those are coming from Open Graph tags. The place where this link is going to could actually be different from this one. I'm sorry. The link will be different, but where it's pulling this information could be different. Different stuff like that. Those are all coming from Open Graph tags. So let's take a look at what those actually look like. There's more than this. There's a bunch of them. You can get real deep into them. But these are the ones that Facebook requires you to have, and it's required, take that loosely. Your website's going to be fine if you don't have them, but they have a debugger that says this website, is good to go with following the Open Graph protocol. Image is actually not necessarily required, but it's the one that you'll probably want to include most of all. You have image, title, description, URL, type. Those are all required by the Facebook Open Graph debugger, and there's a simple website for that. You can just put in a URL, and it will say this is good to go, or you should put in a title. And this is what it looks like. And I imagine it might be tough to see if you're in the back, but they're normal meta tags. But you'll notice that all the properties, they're normal, but they don't have name, they have property. And you'll notice that all of the property strings are prefixed by OG, that's Open Graph, : and these are the tags that make it happen. So for example, if we go over here, that image is coming from this link right here and content right here. So that's OG image, and it's pulling this image right here. It's got to be an image. It's got all the links you're sharing in this have to be links that everyone can go to. It can't be behind an authenticated source, or it can't be localhost. Title and description, you might be wondering why you need those if we already have a title tag and a meta description tag. And Facebook will use those if you don't have them, but their debugger still wants you to include Open Graph title and Open Graph description. So image is probably the big one. That's the big one that, you know, if you ever want to share something and you're thinking, man, I really want to have an image pop up whenever I share it, that's what this is the Open Graph image tag. And like I said, there's more than this. You can get into like image widths, you can get into you know, site names. You can share other content that's not necessarily websites. You can share movies, you can share documents. There's a slew of different things you can do, but this is all the Open Graph protocol. Most of the time, it's going to be a website, so I'm just keeping this short. This is not limited to Facebook. Facebook created the protocol, but it's free for, it's just a protocol. So Slack, you know, for example, we'll use these. LinkedIn will use them. Google Plus uses Open Graph. Even Twitter will use it. So you might be wondering why we have a Twitter link here, or a Twitter kind of category here. And Twitter will use Open Graph tags, but it will not render anything unless you have this top tag right here. And they kind of created their own protocol as well. Twitter card. And you have to actually specify, a Twitter card is this thing, I'm going to go to the next slide. This right here, it looks very similar, but whenever you show a tweet and you click on that tweet, you'll probably have noticed you've seen something like this before, an image, a title, kind of what we saw with Facebook. Those are all coming from, it could be coming from Open Graph because Twitter will use Open Graph tags, but nothing will happen at all unless you include the Twitter card meta tag. And this is a summary large image right here, which is what this is. You could just have it be summary, which is, I believe, no image. There's a couple different options, and Twitter has documentation for that. Twitter also, their protocol also has tags for title, description, just like Open Graph does, but I don't see a need to use them really because it will default to Open Graph. So I'd love to keep my code as small as possible. The last ones I wanted to showcase here are just Twitter site and Twitter creator. These are just used for Twitter analytics, which is kind of cool when you get deep into it. But if you want to, you know, let's say I share a link and then someone else, you know, reshares it. If I have this on the website that I'm sharing, it will, you know, Twitter site would be something like, you know, these are both me, but these could be like New York Times, and creator, it could be like the writer who actually wrote the post. That will attribute, you know, this many clicks of this link has been going to New York Times, and this many clicks, you know, have been from this creator, kind of things like that. It's all used for Twitter analytics, and that's it. So if you don't use it, not necessary. But these are kind of the two tags that no other site's going to give you since it's specific to Twitter. And that's it. There's more meta tags than this. One kind of group I left out on purpose was what's called deep linking. Like if you are in Instagram and you click on an actual Instagram web link, instead of opening up Safari to open up the web page, it's going to open up the actual link in the Instagram application. That's called deep linking. You know, a lot of applications do it, and there's a whole protocol for that. I think it's called app links. I didn't include that because it's really specific. And there's a few other meta tags, but this kind of covers the basic ones. So the big one I wanted to do is showcase. If you had no idea how when you click a link when you post a link on Facebook or something, and it brings in all this information, if you had no idea how that happens, I really just wanted to show that. It's really easy, and it's just a few meta tags. So this is where you can find me. I'm the Code Boss on Twitter. And instead of sharing these slides, I'm not going to share them. I'm going to share this blog post I wrote that published yesterday that goes over everything that we just talked about, but in greater depth. So you can actually kind of take time to learn about it. If this is interesting to you, I go into detail about what all the tags are actually saying, kind of give a few examples, and we'll share that after this. So that's all I got. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys like the shirts.